the mosquitoes have evolved resistance, so the deaths actually went up, and so we need to rededicate ourselves to get those numbers down.
I think, Mr. Gates, the last time we were speaking about you on this programme was when you made a comment, I think last year, saying that Brexit, if Brexit goes through, it mustn't be used as an excuse to slash aid funding and divert efforts away from things like what you're talking about today. Are you still concerned that that might happen or could be happening?
Well, UK voters should be proud that their government is quite generous and is making sure this money goes to important causes to help out countries in Africa. The government, the Prime Minister yesterday reiterated a strong commitment to help in malaria. So the UK and the US government are our best partners in this quest to cut the cases in half again.
You talk a little bit, I know, about how malaria is, in some ways, a moving target. Just tell us what's been going on, because there have been big successes, haven't there?
Absolutely. What happens is that if we keep the same insecticide out there, the mosquitoes evolve and it no longer works. And so the current bed nets in lots of parts of Africa are not effective. I'll show at a conference today as part of the Commonwealth Summit a new generation of bed nets that the Liverpool School has helped create, and we're going to get that out to Africa, and that if we get it out to all the right places, that's why we think we can get those numbers going down again.
What sort of interest in, I'm trying not to make this sound like an ignorant question, you talk about how we're responding here in the UK. What about in the US, where your president was elected on a platform of America First? What is the concern about something like malaria and affecting that in the way you're talking about in other countries in the world?
Well, fortunately in the US, the aid budget is set by the Congress, and so there have been no cuts at all, including a very generous amount of money that goes to malaria. So the U.S. is the biggest funder here, and number 2 and 3 are our foundation and the UK DFID. We have many other donors, but those are the big 3.
I want to ask you, while we have you here, about so many other things. Can I ask you a little bit about social media? There's an extraordinary rise on social media, and you, of course, are very much present on that. Facebook particularly. Was your data breached, as far as you know?
No, I don't think so. You know, I'm a public figure, and so, you know, who I friend on Facebook, I have a very public account. But this was a very serious issue, and, you know, Facebook apologized and, you know, working hard to figure out what should the simple privacy promise look like.
We're seeing a picture now on Mark Zuckerberg's page, Facebook page, a picture of you and him. I know you know each other very well. How do you think that he and Facebook have dealt with the scandal?
Well, they've committed to do better, and you know, I think Mark is a great person. He's got great intentions here. He's at the center of some very tough issues about what is free speech versus what is hate speech, and how do we get people still talking to people they disagree with, and exactly when should your data be used. So I think they'll do their best and work with governments on what the new set of regulations should be.
I'm really interested because you are so much at the forefront of all of this, and I think your dream was to have a PC in every home. I mean, now we've got one in every hand virtually. You know, what's your assessment? Is it a good thing?
Yes, I think, although it comes with some negatives because, you know, criminals use the latest tools and people who want to spread hate use the latest tools. Overall, it should let us reach out to each other, stay in touch with each other, you know, learn the latest things, you know, share malaria data, and get people to get galvanized behind important causes. But understanding exactly what the promise on privacy should be, you know, Facebook had to apologize because they surprised their users with the latest episode.
Do you sometimes, I mean, you've been vastly successful in this area. Do you sometimes, you know, wrestle with the sort of positive and negative sides of it? Because there's huge positives, of course. We've been talking today, though, about, you know, Russian threats to cybersecurity, about security of our children. I know you're the father of 2 daughters as well. You must worry about your own children sometimes, and the beast, in some ways, you've helped unleash.
Well, innovation, you know, when the car came along, you know, it wasn't without problems, including car wrecks and how parents should deal with that. for my kids, there was always the question of what age they would get cell phones, what the policies would be. So parents do need to be engaged here. They can't just assume that it's going to be used all for good things.
Let's just talk about cybersecurity in general, because we know, that there's so much sort of impact and concern about that moment. Are Western governments, do you think, doing enough?
No, I think they're adding their expertise, but the idea of how you take people who've been more classic military and understand what does a cyber threat look like? How do you get the top technical people in there? All the governments are having to scramble to make sure that they're sophisticated, and yet there's rules even for government. The rules are more strict for companies, but governments are having to figure out, okay, what is it that they won't be able to see, and how do they still enforce the laws and avoid terrorism?
What do you think is the next sort of giant technological stride that we will make? Maybe, I don't know, 5, 10 years down the line?
Well, the fact that computers can now see means that a lot of tasks can be automated, and the dream of robots, that is going to happen. It'll make a lot of things more efficient, but it means we have to train people better because parts of the jobs market will be different. So overall, that will increase our productivity. It will be a good thing.
Okay, I want to ask you a question. I mean, you choose to spend so much of your money on charitable causes, all sorts of different causes. What's your biggest luxury?
Well, my biggest luxury is that when I travel, I have a plane, so I can go lots of places, and it's kind of a ridiculous luxury, but it allows me to get to Africa a lot, get to Europe a lot. That's a real luxury.
Okay, it's really good to speak to you. Thank you very much indeed. And being the world's most admired man, have you got any tips for Dan?
All right, that's a bit unnecessary.
Thank you.
He's not going to answer. Thank you very much, Bill Gates. Really a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you very much.